actually watching from Facebook, there is a better template and better video quality to watch from YouTube. So make sure that you subscribe to YouTube and actually go there to watch it. So today we will be discussing about the consciousness and 3 levels of consciousness. So thank you so much for watching and joining me today for this live event. And I make sure that I go live on a consistent basis. But right now it's in order to provide the quality and in order to be able to make other options available for the seekers, like courses online and things like that. And most importantly, to balance my life, again, which is part of the teachings of ancient yoga as well, and mine as well as Yogananda, to make sure that you balance your life first before you go do do anything else. So you have to make sure that you're balancing your life first. So thank you so much for whoever is joining today. Please make sure you comment and let us know that you're watching. And I make sure that I make the videos available on Facebook by going live. But the quality of the Facebook right now, based on the resources I have available, I would highly suggest that you go watch it on YouTube and subscribe on YouTube and make the Namaskar Antonella. Thank you so much for joining. Namaskar Mary. Thank you so much for joining and for both of your love and kind support. So today we talk about the 3 level of consciousness based on the ancient yogic science. So it is a very dry way of saying it. Consciousness, right? Like 3 levels of consciousness, and that it is available to everybody, it's universal and what have you. But the most important fact that you would see from the yogic perspective is that the divine consciousness, it's called divine consciousness. It's wherever the divine is put in, the flow of the devotion joins in. And that is the biggest difference between anybody else following the path and a spiritual person or soul following the path, the devotion. So from the theory perspective, there are 3 levels of consciousness. And I will answer one question that I received about consciousness in this video at the end as well. But subconsciousness is the lowest level that is experienced by animals and humans. And when I say animals, it's not doing a justice to the animals, because animals have intuitive power too. If you have lived with pets, if you have pets and you're surrounded by animals who you love and you're really connected to, you will say that it's not really fair to say that, that's the only level of consciousness that they can attain. Because I have personally experienced myself having 2 dogs, and they are like my babies. They're like my, I love them so much. And after the storm Maria in Puerto Rico, where we live at the moment, a cat joined us or adopted us. That's how they say it, that the cats are actually the ones who adopts you, not you. So that cat is transformed from the time that we got him. But the level of consciousness and the level of love and the intuitive powers that animals have, I completely do not agree that that's the only level of subconsciousness that animals can attain. But in a general way, subconsciousness is the lowest state of consciousness. Okay, so when the humans are not using the consciousness to their best of their abilities, that the gift of God. So I also posted a quote from Albert Einstein, and he spent a quality time with Rabindranath Tagore, and you can look him up. Both, you can look that they met and they discussed from science, contemporary science perspective, and from the yogic science perspective, different concepts and different things. But from the yogic perspective, which is again very, very high, it's a very advanced level for anyone who is just beginning to understand it, or for many, it remains a mystery, because it's a very high disciplined arena. If you are not disciplined enough, and if you are not dedicated enough, and you're not eager enough, and you do not have the devotion, there are so many things that goes into this field to be able to attain the divine consciousness. So from that perspective, when they discussed it, Albert Einstein said that intuition is a sacred gift, and we are not using the intuition enough. We do not even get to that level. We do not connect enough in order to get to that level. So for anyone who is not conscious enough to understand what's going on, um, just going by with their day-to-day life, that would be one accessing the subconscious level. So that is the lowest level of anyone, any living being can access. So emotions like habits, there are habits and desires. There's fear, there's anger, all the negative emotions that can emerge. That is one sure sign of saying that one is accessing the emotions from the lowest level. So, and it is pretty normal. It's not a negative thing to be in the lowest level of consciousness. But what is very important is to be able to understand that you are at the low level of consciousness. Being aware of being in that state is more important. So if you're aware of that fact, and you know that I'm not accessing the fullest of what the most beautiful gift that God has given me, the consciousness itself, then you are able to change it. If you do not know, if you're not aware, and you're just going with your day by day, then you are not even aware. So if you're not aware of a problem, if you're not aware of an issue or concern, then how are you going to make that change? How are you going to take that next step? So in order to make that next step is to understand where you are at and the awareness to make that change. So now the second come is that consciousness of being aware. I am aware of this. That is your analytical mind at work. So when I said I'm awakened, I'm Paramahansa Yogananda, for many of you, it is very difficult to understand that, because your analytical mind, your consciousness is like, oh, that, yeah, yes, I have read Autobiography of a Yogi, and yes, I have read about the miracles, but I'm not able to fully comprehend this concept. And my mind comes in between and fights with me. So Fair enough. From my side, there is no judgment. There will never be a judgment on any approach that you have. Where my soul mission comes, my job comes, is to help you understand and show you the path. It's up to you to take that path or not take the path. That is your karma. That your actions are completely your karma, not mine, to indulge in. So unless you become my direct disciple, then you have the commitment, and you have made that contract, commitment, soul contract with me to achieve that level of divine consciousness. Then that becomes my business. Unless you have not done it, that is not my business to attain or approach. So consciousness is a beautiful word, because that is the first level of understanding. And from this level, you will also see glimpse of divine consciousness. You will have hints of it. Yes, I have seen miracle. You would say, sometimes you will hear people say, yes, I knew that's going to happen. I had deja vu about this location or this incidents that's going to happen in my life. So that's like glimpse of you attaining the divine consciousness here and there. And I would say there are different levels. Even if you want to stack more and you want to go deeper, you can stack more level of consciousness within these three. But I'm just going to cover basics at the moment. And for the ones who actually want to go deeper, I would put that information in the course. And maybe in the near future, I would share that with you. But for now, this is a great way to understand the levels of consciousness. So analytical mind is good, because that separates you. This is where you would say, oh, I shouldn't be going and touching the fire. I shouldn't be going and doing this, which can harm my body. I shouldn't be doing. So that's like a protection, right? Protecting yourself, protecting your body, protecting anything you want to. So that is the conscious level of anyone. So why should one actually seek the divine consciousness or super consciousness? So super consciousness is very intelligent consciousness. It's not, it's live, it's breathing, and it flows. So when you are at this level of super consciousness or divine consciousness, when you have merged with the divine consciousness, it's ever breathing. And this is why when I was a child, I would talk to my mother and, and try to understand the concept of God, curiosity, and all that. And I remember asking her once, about God. And her answer was that the God, and this is, Hindu philosophy. So again, ancient yogic science roots. God is ever existing. So it's not only where you have put the idol, because in Hinduism, we follow a lot of idolism, right? We put the idols, we put the pictures of the souls that we consider highly reverent. We put, you see people wearing the cross, like, the Christ for Christ consciousness or Jesus Christ. So all that is believing, right? But at the same time, it's, even if I'm not wearing that pendant, even if I don't have that idol, even if I don't have that picture with me, the ones who have attained the divine consciousness when they are in the body, And when they pass, they have more connection. They are they have expanded with the divine consciousness because they have merged with the divine consciousness, if you will. So that is why when we say that a yogi has attained the self realization, or has attained the divine consciousness or super consciousness and is awakened, that means their access to the super consciousness, they have merged with it. Rather than just experiencing it, they have merged with it. And that is when all the miracles become a daily occurrence. It will happen on a daily basis. So this is what the yogis seek. This is what the all the saints, all the Sufis, um, all the souls that are trying to achieve that Christ consciousness are actually seeking this level of consciousness, which is super consciousness, which is divine consciousness. So, namaskar, Bhavesh ji, namaskar, Kunal ji. I'm not sure, I can't see who else is watching, but thank you so much for watching and for your love and support. So, understand this, that this is the most beautiful aspect of divine consciousness. And from the yogic perspective, we are not looking at it as just a theory. You see, where the change occurs from the level of the bhavana, the emotion that you have for what you are seeking, is very, very important. So, divine consciousness, when we say, I want to be, I'm just seeking God, I'm just trying to be one with God, I'm trying to understand this life, I'm questioning this life. Why am I here? What is my purpose? All these questions come to your analytical mind from your consciousness level, and you seek out for much more in depth, what is out there. And so my path is to help you get to that level. And so whoever is here and watching, thank you so much for your love and support. And please make sure that you share the video. And again, make sure that you subscribe on YouTube, because Facebook, the quality is not that great. And in order to watch the full video, I'm asking everybody to actually subscribe on YouTube and watch it through YouTube. And I'm going to actually change the schedule for these videos in order to provide the quality of the information and knowledge and gyan that I'm sharing with you. It's very important for me to balance my life on my end and be able to actually attain other tasks and other operations from the organization perspective. So I'm going to be changing the schedule. So I'm going to put information out there for you. Please let me know what is better day for you to watch. Is it Monday or Tuesday? I'm going to put a poll out on Facebook. So make sure that you, if you watch it on a daily basis, please put your preference in. And I'm thinking from my perspective, I personally prefer Tuesdays. I will do an English one on Tuesday, and I will do a Hindi one on Wednesday, and a long reading on Friday. And we can talk and discuss questions and anything else that you have on Friday. So one English dedicated and one Hindi fully dedicated. would be the best way. So now I believe that I have given you a lot today about the three levels of consciousness from the ancient yogic perspective. One is the lowest one is the subconsciousness, and the higher than that is the consciousness, and then the highest one is the super consciousness. So I have a question that I received about the consciousness, so I will answer it. How to distinguish from subconsciousness and superconsciousness? So how can you distinguish from subconsciousness to superconsciousness? So I think I answered this question in this video today already, but how to distinguish subconsciousness is the lowest level, as we talked about, um, where you are not feeling centered, when you are not feeling the flow of the divine, when you're not calm. You might be angry, you might be anxious, you might be in fear, state of fear. All that is sign of being in the subconscious level. So what is the super consciousness level? Super consciousness is when you're in the flow, when you're calm, when everything is just gentle and bliss, um, and you know you have arrived. So you feel at home, you feel very comfortable, and that would be the biggest sign of being in the super consciousness. And at this level, your intuition is very sharpened. Um, and I have read about people saying, oh, you receive intuition. So I would say intuition is the lowest level of super consciousness. Okay. A lot of people get intuition even at, when they are at conscious level. So it's like, yes, I'm intuitive. Yes, I know about this, or I knew about that. But divine guidance is a very high level of consciousness. Divine guidance is one of the highest of the super consciousness, when you are actually interacting, and you can have conversations, you can have, verbal conversations in whatever language you want, because this consciousness is very intellectual, very intelligent, very powerful, most powerful thing out there. So in that, you receiving divine guidance is completely different than just receiving the intuition. Okay, so understand that. And once a yogi has attained this level, they become very powerful. So beautiful question, and I hope that I have answered it to your satisfaction. Now, is universal consciousness same as divine consciousness? Is universal consciousness same as divine consciousness? The only difference I would say between is the understanding. When you say universal consciousness, you're looking at just from without any emotions, without any devotion, emotions. So universal consciousness and divine consciousness is basically the same, but your approach makes it different. So universal consciousness is a very dry way of saying it, without any emotions, without any devotion, without any connection. So with the divine consciousness, you're completely with it, you're completely in it, and you're one with it. And you know the connection, you have experienced that love, that divine romance that we talk about from the ancient yogic perspective. So that is the beauty. So I really wish you all a very beautiful week ahead. And I will be posting a new schedule to follow so that I'm able to balance my life and I'm able to serve you as well at the same time and approach other operations and other projects and tasks also. So, as I completed the English one today, I would be doing the Hindi one on Wednesday, so nothing tomorrow. But I will be asking you via poll if you want it on Monday or Tuesday, the English version. And then Friday is the reading one. So thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope I served you well and you learned a lot from today's episode. Namaskar and have a blissful day.